Yeah, he's renamed himself. Yeah. Hello? Hello?
Recording in progress.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Oh, thank you. That's a very active response for an audience who just had lunch. I'm very happy. So this is the youth standing group of the Internet Society, a small showcase of what we did in the past year and some exciting new opportunities are coming up in the upcoming year and what you can look forward to. So with me, so this is the structure of the session. So first we have the introduction of what the youth standing group does and when did we start. Next we talk about youth engagement in the Asia Pacific, a few future opportunities and what we did and how that connects to how people can contribute. The third is future opportunities that are upcoming in the immediate future. And the last is a Q&A if you have any questions. So the introduction of the youth standing group. So 2 of the Asia Pacific members are currently the board members of the youth standing group. One of them is myself, Shraddha, and the second is Muhammad Ali Johar. He is, okay. So this is a slide that explains it better. So it's made by the young people for the young people. And it's a special interest group of Internet Society that started in 2015 as a youth observatory, turned into a youth special interest group and is currently renamed as the Youth Standing Group. We have over 2,200 members as of today, and they span from all continents and across a lot of countries in the globe. So we, in 2022, we received a permanent status as a standing group. And currently, for the 2022 to 2024 term, we have the board of directors whose pictures are given below. I can give you a small introduction. So Veronica, she's the current chair. She is from Italy. We have João from Brazil, Mauricia from Africa. We have Pedro from Latin America. We have Elisa from Armenia, myself and Muhammad from India, currently representing the youth standing group. So the question that we wanted to discuss today was what exactly we have done in this year, especially with respect to the Global Digital Compact, which was released by the United Nations, and our submission for the Global Digital Compact. Along with that, for the IGF in Tokyo 2023, what is coming up and a few exciting opportunities that are planned for that. So with respect to the IGF working groups, so the youth standing group creates working groups and working subgroups committees, which are formed annually and are headed again by volunteer members who want to be a part of the youth standing group working group committee members. And they work on session proposals. We reach out to people whose proposals have been accepted in the past. We ask them for insights. We organize informational webinars. So if anyone who's a new member who wants to learn and has no idea where to start, so this is ideally the place to be for you to understand and not feel so lost or confused, because it can get overwhelming when you look at the list on the UN website, right? So this is a brief background of Global Digital Compact. Muhammad, can you explain about it a little bit?
Oh, yeah, sure. I'm happy to do that. Hi, everyone. I'm Muhammad. I'm the Secretary of the USG. Could you please reshare these slides?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So, the United Nations, the United Nations taken where they should call for inputs for global digital compact this year only, and we decided to collect the inputs from the youth and to that, I mean, because we represent a youth body that spans all over the globe, so we form a global digital compact subcommittee, and then uh, we created a month-long input process wherein we took comments from members and other youth leaders, and then we conclude that into around 15 pages of the receipt paper, and then we also submitted a few. There was an additional global digital compact input.
Thank you. A little bit of a background. This work was again not done by the Youth Standing Group alone. This is where we reach out to other youth groups like the Youth Coalition on Internet Governance, Youth for Internet Governance. All these are organizations which tend to help us out and contribute as and when possible according to their voluntary time requirements. So one thing that we did was we set up various position committees, subcommittees for the particular sections of the Global Digital Compact heads. And for example, the issue of connecting all people to internet, including schools, we would issue a Google form, which then would invite responses in about 150 to 300 words from individual stakeholders, which then, because ChatGPT had just gotten popular, extremely popular, we all had to run them through and figure out whether they were AI generated. And the working committees, a lot of tasks went through that. After that, we would keep a few high-level comments, and then we would put them in the form of a report, ask the exact authors, reach out to them if they wanted to contribute, modify their position, or if they were okay with the current position that we were putting out, the sentence framing, etc., and if they wanted to be named as the contributors of the report. So finally, the report was submitted to the United Nations website, to the United Nations, and it's currently one of the recommendations that is submitted on the website. The link to that is available in the program itself. I've put that in the session proposal. So if you open the session proposal form, it will lead you to the UN website where you can access our report. Mohammed, you want to talk about the Youth Atlas a little bit, please?
Yeah, I'm just facing a little bit of connection issues. I'm unable to, yeah, you can hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so this is the, this has been like a project that has been ongoing for the past 1 year. We started the Youth Atlas 2.0 during the IGF 2022 by conducting a series of interviews, on-site interviews during the IGF. So the premise of Youth Atlas is that we want to collect the inputs from the youths from all over the world who have been actively involved in the internet governance ecosystem, and just get a sense of what is going on and what could be improved. And then we also celebrate the individuals who have been very active by featuring them in the Youth Atlas, which is a sort of yearbook. So yeah, we are into the second edition this time, and it is almost complete. The digital version is complete. We are already talking about getting it printed, and we will launch it during the IGF in Kyoto. So the greatest thing about the Youth Atlas is that it has received the endorsement of the whole community. When sort of Anya Gango, everyone, they have highly recommended it, and we plan to launch it during the IGF. And yeah, we will have physical copies as well as digital copies for anyone who is there on site during the IGF.
Thank you. So one of the nice things that Mohammed's too modest to tell you about is that the preface has been written by none other than the father of internet, and the things that he has to say about the next generation or the youth on the internet is something really valuable. And I would urge all of you to just check it out whenever, if you're in Kyoto in 2023 in the next couple of months. If not, we will definitely release it online, so we can definitely see that. And the next is future opportunities. These are for the youth community, but we all belong to the youth community. We all belong as, yeah. So this is something that we want to talk to you about. So Mohammed, please, yeah.
Yeah, so last year, because we were trying to increase the networking between youths from all around the world. So we observed that usually the sessions are like not youth focused. So we decided to organize a youth social event. So this year we have received the sponsorship of Internet Society and a lot of other local organizations, and we are throwing a big party to all the youths, exclusively to the youth. Sorry, everyone else, and it will have a lot of food, a lot of drinks, music by professional DJs and everything. And you all are invited. It will take place during the first day of IGF. So yeah, you're all welcome, and it will be a great place to just connect with other youth leaders from everywhere around the world and just form the bond and just collaborate, just talk about everything that we have done and just learn from each other. So I hope that most of you will be there.
Yeah.
Here we will meet you on.
Come for internet governance, stay for the party. So yeah, that is one. The second exciting update is, remember in the early first sections of the screen, I showed you about the current board membership of the youth standing group. The re-elections are scheduled early next year, which means the nominations, etc., and the entire process will start towards the end of this year. Again, since this is a committee, you have to recommend it as a group. So you have to be a group of people who are looking at different positions, who are looking after these positions, and they're trying to contest. So this is something that is upcoming. So if there's any question that you want to reach out, or if there's any contribution, any help that you want about how to make your pitch, about what sort of introductions to put, and how you can sort of further and show us that these are the reasons why you should get elected and all of that, it'll be great. And the voting, etc., all of that takes place through the formal ISOC process. So it'll be amazing to see a lot of new Asia Pacific youth members to contest and to get through the election, because typically the representation of Asia Pacific members is a little lesser compared to the rest of the communities, and we're trying to change that. And this is one of the reasons why we wanted to have the showcase in the first place, is because for you to know that you can contest, and anybody who's interested in the field of internet governance, who's passionate and who wants to bring a change in this community, can actually contest. So this is something that I wanted to talk to you about. And yeah, so apart, the elections are happening, and yeah, they have to formulate a vision document. So if there's anything that you want with respect to how you want a vision document to look like, what sort of aspirations you should put in it, you can always reach out to any one of us, and we'll be more than happy to help you about how our vision document was, what sort of things we put in it, what sort of roles and responsibilities it entails, and we'd be happy to help you out. And the last one is that you can join us. This is a budding community. We are always, there's something new to discuss. Someone has a very strong opinion on it. And since we have so many members, there are usually two contradictory opinions in the room. So there's always a lot of discussion happening on every issue. We work together to develop policy papers and publish them. So the Global Digital Compact was just one example of what we do. Something similar to that is, these days, countries, when they come up with legislations to govern the internet or the privacy of the country and their citizens, they try to open them for comments and for multi-stakeholder comments, and they try to make it a little more inclusive. At least it's a step in the right direction. So we tend to submit our comments as a group, and we try to make those positions heard. And we organize regular events, coordinate IGF youth tracks, regional IGFs. We try to participate, and we try to make sure that any priority that we think is important and is being overlooked or is being not prioritized to the extent that we want, we try to bring that to the forefront, and we like to discuss that. So if you want, you can scan the QR code, or these are the websites. You can look into any one of these, and we'll be more than happy to help you out. Individually, we are more than happy to get connected with you and help you if you want any specific help in one of these sectors. And yeah, the board elections and the IGF party are the two most exciting upcoming events. And consider this as an open invitation for all of you to either contest for the elections or come to the party. And that's it. Thank you. If you have any questions, you'll see me floating around. You can always reach out to me. Thanks, Mohammed. Thank you so much for joining. Everybody online, it's really sweet that you did.
And Shraddha, that was a great presentation. You really presented us very well.
Thank you. Sorry, I missed you. So the next showcase session will be starting in 4 minutes for guests here, just to let you know. The next showcase will be ambiguous in fulfillment of internet access in West Papua, civic society experience share.
Okay, we have online moderator, Ms. Tessa. Maybe you can start. I think she's already joined. Yeah. Tessa, can you open your camera, please? Yeah.
Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to welcome you to the showcase titled Ambivalence in Fulfillment of Internet Access in West Papua based on civil society experiences. I am Desa and I will be the moderator for the showcase. Before we begin, I would like to introduce our speaker, which are Mizel Torre from Chairwoman Papua RTIK Women, Harun Rubarar from Papuan Voices Community, Andi from Lead Researcher and Digital Security SafeNet, and also Unggul Sagena from Head of Internet Access SafeNet. Without further ado, I'd like to welcome our first speaker, Mr. Unggul Sagena, to start the presentation.
Yeah, thank you, Tessa. I will be quick because we have 3 West Papuan that will share their experience because our research is about them. So I will give most of the time in this 20-minute session for them to speak for global community. So yeah, the idea that we have 3 objectives for the research, and we conducted research a few months ago. And then the justification, there are 2 justifications for doing this research. First, the knowledge gaps, that not many research about the people in West Papua and their experience, especially for civil society in West Papua. And also there are urgent issues that we have to focus on. We have 5 places at that time to conduct this research, and also with the local community, local civil society organizations, and also from West Papua from other regions. And these are some of the findings. We call it, first we call it, there is an ambivalence in the fulfillment of the digital infrastructure in West Papua. This is part of the larger project or larger research. It's about the digital rights actually, but today we discuss focus on the very basic is the internet connectivity and access to the people of West Papua. And these are some of the voices. You can read more on our research later on. So you can see these are the experience that we capture. And there are 4 indication or findings. First is integration of the Palaparing broadband project. It's the fulfillment from the government, and we can see that there are still many violations, and there are patterns that some parties violate these digital rights. And also we have the construction of 4G BTS in West Papua, but you can see also the violation and the patterns. The availability of the 4G service access, we have 4G there in West Papua, but you can see there are many violations and the patterns also. And also we have the digital transformation going on in the West Papua as the result of the COVID-19 pandemic. But you can see also there are some limitation and violation and the patterns that according to our research and to civil society experience. Okay, so before I move to Michelle Tori from West Papua, here we have also Andy. He is the lead researcher and also native West Papuan that will share his experience in conducting the research on the ground. Andy, please.
Thank you. This experience was meaningful to me, although there were some things that weighed on me. I experienced some obstacles and challenges. The obstacles were related to situation, terrain, and distance that created some gaps. Some of the interviews were in the situation that were difficult to meet in person, either because they are experiencing political situation, military operation, and other things. In some target location, the terrain is difficult to reach in person. Likewise, distance and access are always the main obstacles. Of course, communication can be tools, intermediary, but it will different to meet and see in person. Honestly, the research has not talked about what is happening in full. It has not explored what is happening in all areas of West Papua. The situation in its region is different. The different situation actually demand contextually answer in its region with different condition. Such is the situation, some of which has been revealed through the findings in the research. During my research, I directly experienced 2 times when the internet and telephone were turned off at the research location. Whereas in other places, they were not. People still had good access. This illustration, the poor internet access in West Papua. Access can be turned off at any time. We can block that. To uncover this is a big challenge, and this part is what the research like. This research is just a snapshot and helicopter view for happens in West Papua. Yet, honestly, it could not tell us more deep about the situation of internet access in West Papua. As such, it leaves an empty space that need to be filled, and doing that just present at great challenges to feel responsibility for addressing what remain unexplored in this research. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Andy. Abby, are you ready to share?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, place is yours.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Okay, thank you for time introduce myself of everyone. I'm come from the city of Jayapura in West Papua. Daily active as digital literacy activity on the Papua ICT Volunteers Organization. My role and action that all friends is at the time. The internet is disconnected or disconnected by the government. We as volunteers encourage and strengthen digital literacy movement for you. You are not trapped or consumed by hoax, provoking or exacerbating the grand situation. Furthermore, we also encourage capacity building in this because the wizard network intelligence. We do this so that we can offer internet access by passing the wizard service. Started in this movement, we foster is in women's organization and initiative volunteers that focus on digital leadership, which we call from Milpic. Volunteers, the purpose of this organization is to strengthen and make me aware of the all of women to participate in starting digital leaders in the West Papua until now. This women is become a victim of the steering of from the report development of the design and in Papua. We are always reminded that women are in the family is hard. So women are on that with in care to continue to be strengthened to the visit together. Strengthen the digital literacy movement that of all for me. Thanks.
Okay, yeah, Abby basically sharing about the Papuan women. They are engaged with the VSAT installations and digital literacy to the school, even in the condition with when the internet was shut down. As you can see, this is self-explained because she is live from West Papua, and other speakers also having difficulty to connect because he is also live from West Papua. So is he already? Yeah, okay, let's check. Harun, are you ready? So we I mean the Papuan, they have to go to some places that can connect the internet stable, so they cannot rely their own signal. Yeah, and also this is what's going on, and yeah, we are still waiting for Harun to share about his experience, especially documenting the rally in the 2019 where the government shut down the internet in the whole region. Yeah, so I think it's also important to hear what he wanted to say to us. And while we're still waiting, I think I can keep the mic back to Tessa. Maybe there are some questions online. Or Tessa, can you handle the Q&A maybe while we're waiting for Harun if he can join us today?
Okay, because we're still waiting for our speakers, Harun. Maybe if you guys have any questions, please write down in the chat box or raise your hand if you come on site. Oh, here we are. The questions, Mr. Onggo.
There are questions?
Still. Oh, we still got no questions.
You can read if there's a question, or maybe guys have questions to Andy here. You can also answer your questions. Andy, can you explain a bit more, maybe on behalf of Harun, because you also experience this kind of conditions and it's almost every day happening. So you can tell us a little bit more, and then I can translate it if you have difficulty to speak in English.
Brent Carey. I'll just ask a question to fill some time. Is that right? Oh, great. I was just curious about internet shutdowns in Indonesia, and is that a regular occurrence, and how often does that happen for you?
Yeah, but the internet shutdown as a policy, actually in 2019 we have three times, and then some global organization also recorded, because like the Pulse Lab, for example. However, that time we sue the government, and then in 2020 the court decision was that the government was illegal to do this kind of policy again. So at that time, we also, the civil society also asked the president to apologize, but the court said that it's not necessary. But this kind of policy cannot be become a policy from the government again. And however, if you are saying about the condition that's still happening, yeah, we experience it, it's still happening, but it is not a policy. Sometimes it's because of the technical problem. I can show you. Where is it? Yeah. These are the capture of what the people saying on the ground, that if the pattern is the same, if indeed there are technical reasons, then must be disclosed to the public. Sometimes they're saying that there's trouble in the cable connection, undersea cable connection, because like we have here one of the fulfillment, like we. Yeah, the Palappuring broadband project is now integrated, so it makes like the internet better. However, sometimes, and SafeNet also every month monitor this kind of
disruptions, sometimes we found out that there
they said technical problems in the sea cable, and then sometimes like the cable was cut like that. Then people saying that, oh, how this is happening while we have some moments in the, like political rally or some government official come to the West Papua at that time. Maybe we have 4 minutes. Andy can explain more.
Di beberapa tempat yang paling sering dilakukan itu ada semacam kalau ada semacam konflik tertentu terjadi di wilayah-wilayah tertentu, itu sebenarnya pemutusan masih sering terjadi, dan kalau menggunakan alasan-alasan yang berkaitan dengan ada kabel laut diputus dan segala macam, itu biasanya terjadi tidak masuk akal karena pematian atau pelambatan internet itu hanya terjadi di beberapa tempat tertentu saja, yang itu secara tidak langsung itu tidak berjarak untuk terhubung dengan laut.
Okay, basically, Andy, I think that this kind of shutdown or slowing down on whatever happening, what we call shutdown, is not actually like a blackout, but sometimes just slowing down the social media. Sometimes in the certain places they cannot access. It's quite suspicious for them if it's about the technical problems always happening, and sometimes it's too far from the sea. What Andy just said, that is too far from the sea, and some kind of disruption is happening. This is only to close this session. I want to say that this is only one piece of the whole problems there, because we are talking about the very basic things. It's connectivity, the access. We don't talk about the freedom of expressions. We are not talking about the digital attack to the activists. That in the research it is we capture this kind of violations. Even though, like Andy said, it is not really dive deep into the, because it's very large area, and then this research only cover 4 or 5 agencies, and we have to focus more on these issues, because it's still happening. I mean, like even now we cannot connect with one speaker from West Papua because of these connections. I think that's my conclusion. Andy, you have something more to say in the 1 minute? Okay, no, so I will give back to Tessa. Tessa, thank you very much for your coming to the session.
Okay, finally now we have reached
1.5 minutes.
the showcase. Okay.
Okay. Yes. Yeah, be quick and
Be quick, sorry, because we only have 1 minute. But yeah, first, please.
Okay, thank you for the information. I'm Isan. There's something that I must to confirmation here. The maps that you show that the West Papua that you mentioned here is the best on Indonesian province, or it's just like Kompas area, that the first one. And about the connectivity, that we know that there are no regular shutdown currency. It's just because maybe that is Palaparing that used a fiber optic on the deep ocean. So when it shut down and have a technical issues, it can shut the internet down, and it must use special treatment and accommodation to prepare it to back the line, and it have a schedule too, so it's not a regular issue, I think. And then are you have any discussion with government about these issues before, and if I may know where which government that you discussing it about. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so because of we runs out of time, we will answer your questions outside. So I will give you back to Tessa, and then we can talk about this outside. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for all of the speakers and all of the attending. So if you have any questions or want to discuss something, please kindly contact our speaker, Mr. Unggul Sagina. Thank you so much.
Kia ora tātou katoa, ko Sean Lyons, taku ingoa. Hello, my name is Sean Lyons. I'm from NetSafe New Zealand. Thank you all for being here, and thank you specifically to the APrIGF organising committee for giving us the opportunity to talk to you today about our work in industry voluntary self-regulatory codes to promote the reduction of harm online. I want to talk to you a little bit about the context and the work that we did, and then I'm going to hand over to my colleague Brent to talk a little bit about how the code plays out in practice and what some of the future hopes are for the code itself. I should explain just in the context, we're from New Zealand. This code operates in New Zealand. New Zealand's a country of just over 5 million people, with very high internet usage and penetration, and thanks to some research from our friends at Internet New Zealand, we know there's a country of people that are largely happy with the internet they use. 84% of people, sorry I got the number wrong on that slide, think that the internet is on the whole a positive place. So that's the context in which we work, and the work that we've done is set. NetSafe's role originally, one largely in that context of education, originally primarily through the education sector, through schools, but then increasingly through public education and awareness. And that was largely in terms of talking about the online challenges, the risks that people experience, and how they manage and mitigate those. Increasingly over time, however, NetSafe's role went from one of education to one of more direct response as the complexity of the tools in which people used online and the complexity of those risks or challenging situations increased. Our role became more about helping people, guidance directly in managing the online harm situations that they experienced. And that increased right through until the point where New Zealand established direct legislation to try and reduce online harm. Harmful Digital Communications Act was passed in 2015 and came into operation in 2016. NetSafe has a statutory function under that act to deal with, to receive complaints from individuals and assist them in the removal of that harm. It has both a civil and a criminal sanction. We help people with the civil part. The police obviously are those that challenge with the criminal sanctions. But even with what was at the time groundbreaking, I think, legislation to deal with online harm, we saw increasing situations where even that legislation wasn't able to help people deal with the kinds of harms that they faced. An example would be the idea of mass harassment or brigading, where a pylon, if you like, where people would single out an individual and create harm scenarios for them online. The legislation as it stands requires people to make a complaint for every single one of those harms. So you can imagine the scenario where tens or hundreds of people pile on. That legislation then becomes very difficult to manage for that particular harm situation. So it was obvious, or becoming obvious to us at that time, that whilst that legislation was in place, what we required was more. There was more needed to help people in situations. And, not to besmirch legislation itself, but legislation takes a long time. It took a long time to achieve legislation in the country of that form. The idea of change and modification becomes even more difficult if we rely only on legislation. And so that's where the beginnings of discussion around a self-regulatory, an industry self-regulatory code began, in the hope that what it would do was allow people to get over those situations which we increasingly saw where, despite them experiencing harm, and that harm might be directed at them, or it might be, increasingly as it was, the result of national or even international online harm incidents, it was becoming harder for them to deal with those directly because of the nature of the incident itself. So we had to ask ourselves, well, there were several questions that we needed to solve. How do we make a change across the entire online safety system? Because that was what we were needing to do. We had legislation in our country, we had activity in our country, but it needed more than that. We needed to go from those reactive scenarios, those reactive measures that we had, to be able to deal with these increasing situations that were where what was required was a more proactive approach right across the system, not just at a particular platform or a particular individual, but how do we achieve that right across the system? The second question, although you can't see it, was how do you adapt to that change at the speed of the internet, at the speed at which it's required as those situations unfold? Legislation, like I said, can't be expected to take up the slack in that situation. How do we adapt what's needed at that speed and pace? Somebody couldn't flick on 2 slides for me, could they? And the third question is, how do we meet the demands of what's going on locally when actually what we're talking about is a global environment? When we're talking about working with transnational countries, transnational companies, and yet we're looking at how that, how does international law apply? How does local law apply? To give you a very obvious example, think about COPPA and age 13 and how that defines what a young person is and the privacy implications for that. What if that definition actually contravenes the local definitions of what a young person is, or changes the way in which privacy laws are applied in a particular country? That's what led us to the development of our Code of Practice for Online Safety and Harm. So that process began in July 2021, and just about a year between that period and the first signing and the signing and release of that code, a process of development with the industry, with civil society and government groups in consultation, and a period of public consultation before the development of that code and its release launch in July 2022. There were lots of questions that came as part of that public consultation, far-reaching questions from implications for freedom of speech to censorship to government overreach, even though this wasn't a government project. But there's one question I think I can kind of summarize that was put forward by an awful lot of people, which is why an industry code? Why is this development happened in concert with industry? And I think that there's a kind of obvious answer, and it answers the first of those questions that we posed, which is how do you deal with this situation right across the system? You have to invoke the locus of harm, maybe with the individuals, but the place in which the activity to reduce that harm was going to take place was with the industry, was with those platforms, and therefore that was the focus of where that activity should take place. The other reason is that the industry were already engaged right across the world in a number of other similar or aligned code processes, whether that be the industry, government, civil society. There were an awful lot of codes out there being developed and in play that we could learn from, where the industry were often already signatories of. So that's I guess the other answer to that question. This was a path that had already begun to be trodden, and we could learn from that process and hope that our code could answer some of those questions that we had specifically. So I'm going to pass over to Brent to talk a little bit more about how the code is in practice and what some of the future vision for that is.
Thank you, Sean. That's 8 minutes down, so we'll try and leave some time for questions. Kia ora katoa, ko Brent Tokolingua. I'm the CEO of NetSafe, and about the principles. So we have 5 signatories that have agreed to the code. So that's Meta, TikTok, Amazon, Twitch, YouTube, Google, and Twitter. And those 5 signatories have worked on, as Sean said, multiple versions of the code. And importantly, it is sort of the first of its kind because it does try and be all-inclusive with some of the harm types. So New Zealand doesn't have hate speech. It's been referred to the Law Commission, and this code is looking at that as a gap, and it has included a definition of hate speech. New Zealand is also grappling with mis and disinformation, and we don't have a regulatory backstop for that. And this code importantly includes mis and disinformation in the definitions. And those principles too, we worked with tangata whenua also to look at a Māori perspective, and some of that is woven into the code as well in relation to some of these guiding principles. Importantly too, the code is a living and breathing document. And as Sean said, it's only been in effect it takes effect in its first year. So July 2023, 1 year on. And last month, the oversight committee of the code was appointed. And importantly, that oversight committee is made up of civil society, industry, iwi, so Māori, and it is in their voluntary capacity sitting as the governors of the code to shape the code. So that oversight board is voluntary, and it will make recommendations on how the code should be adopted going forward. And last month I was appointed the chair of the oversight board for the committee, and we're working on our first meeting coming up in person. We also have an administrator of the code, which is New Zealand Tech, which is the tech industry which actually administer the code. And that's a mechanism, again, to ensure greater oversight. We also have an independent reviewer that will review the code as well, and that is yet to be appointed. And that's another way to try and bring some transparency to the code practice. Importantly, all of the platforms agreed to produce benchmark reports for what was happening on the platforms in relation to these particular processes, etc. And all those benchmark reports are available at the New Zealand Tech website. And for New Zealand, it was really the first time New Zealand had ever seen some localized data around Meta in particular, around what was happening for New Zealanders on the Meta platform. And so those benchmark reports are really important as a bit of a guiding principle. And each platform will produce their first reports, their first transparency reports by October this year. And those reports will be publicly available as well. It's important too that there be a complaints mechanism for the public, and that complaints mechanism is a big part of this code, but it's not about people making individual complaints about content. It's about, because there's already a system to deal with that. It's about people having the right to make a complaint if the processes and the policies that the platforms say that they have in place to tackle these harms aren't up to standard. And so, again, last month on the NZ Tech website, the complaints process for the public, that has opened. And so we get to see the complaints come through, but now the public have a mechanism to make a complaint about that. The code is about transparency. It is about the industry and civil society and a whole of society approach working together for improvements. I think I've said it's a living, breathing document. it is just a dialogue, and also the government in New Zealand is currently looking at our safer online services. So again, what that might look like, but the government said that legislation won't be here till 2026 at its earliest. And again, as we all know, people are being harmed every day on a platform now. So what do we do in the meantime? And we think a voluntary code approach is one way to show responsibility. I've got 5 minutes left, and I'm just putting up the link to where the code can be found. And I'd really like to use that time to answer any questions.
Thank you for sharing this. And we were just in the Tech Policy Atlas, so I'd love to see that contributed to there. It's been interesting seeing New Zealand. I'm from Australia, so the New Zealand representatives here. I've learnt about Nat Huey as well, and seems to be very civil society focused, very much taking that whole of society. My question is, who does New Zealand see as civil society in that contribution? And during that consultation process, was there any key items that were raised from that perspective that was helpful?
Do I need a mic? Probably put people on mic.
So, I mean, I think in terms of who is civil society, that's a label that's used, and it's a good and useful one. For us, it's more important that as many voices, representative voices as possible, were and are still able to feed into that process. That better that it's defined by a need rather than an already organised construct. So it's as much as much and as many as we can. Very hard to do that. We got 4,500 submissions in that public process, but I have to admit that a large number of them were from a single organisation that I won't name, that had a real passion for talking about what it was that we were doing. So yeah, that would be that definitely. Sorry, your second question?
Did they provide any insights that help show that from civil society?
Yeah, I think absolutely they did, and it kind of raised a whole number of issues. There were quite a few sort of competing and contradictory issues. So there was broadly there was an awful lot of this doesn't go far enough in terms of will it really squash the harm? Does it really do enough to hold the platforms to account? And at the same time, this is massive overreach. You're asking too much of the platforms, or you're giving the platforms too much say in what goes on. So some of those things are quite hard to kind of pass together, but certainly there are a lot of levels where that input was useful, raised issues that I think we hadn't seen before, and certainly as we go on in that development, there are an awful lot of questions that we still need to answer about those specific needs of those groups, and that is part of the development of the code.
I was just going to quickly add too, they're very clear about the separation of role around administrator, that oversight. They have very firm views about representation at the oversight board level, and those things that came from the voices from the consultation process.
We have a question from the local hub. We'll try and pass them through. I think that's how it works.
Good morning. Here from the local hub, University of Information Technology and Sciences, Bangladesh. So these gatherings, we just session this with the students, the youth, the majority of the populations. So my question is about the youth engagement and awareness program by Asia Pacific Regional Internet Governance. I have also would like to introduce my two students. They have also questions from the youth to the APrIGF community. Yes, ask.
Hello everyone. Good evening. I have a question from what are the cybersecurity policy for, especially for young women?
I have a question about engagement in cybersecurity policy.
Sorry. If you do not mind, we interrupt because I think
is from the students for the young women's and the youth and the awareness and engagement programs. Thank you.
Thank you very much, UITS. I think this the question may be for previous panel. Since since we just want to clarify, this is the panel about online safety by brands and also by the team. So if you have a question about this, you can further ask in the chat room. And because the time it's already, maybe I'll just let you guys to wrap up first. Thank you very much.
If you want to wrap up, because you've got a minute at best.
Oh, yeah, no. Again, please reach out in the breaks. We're here all week. If you have any questions about voluntary codes, we're happy to share our experience. So I'm on LinkedIn, reach out. We're happy to talk about our experience.
Nothing from me.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we will be back in 10 minutes. So that will be fellows, our APrIGF, and also some Pacific fellows presentation. We'll see you in 10 minutes. Thank you very much.
Question. I work with my question is you talk about the car, but what about just transporting the car to the side? Income of like India, guys, so they have that them. Is there people you guys are potentially meeting? Because the real life is not the people that yes. Obviously, so for example, what happened we have this problem with we have no psychological, even get all the horrible things that are New Zealand, so New Zealand is not really hard. That doesn't mean it's not hard stuff, right? So obviously, as a New Zealand regulator, you're not in charge of regulating administration, nevertheless, you're structuring damage of New Zealanders. So obviously, it's not a response like for us. sure about, where do you get this data before you get closer to the trying to get everyone say, yeah, this is done yet. One of the best here.
We will be starting very soon, so if I could please request you to take your seats. I'd like to call the House in order. Okay, so we still have some of our fellows all here? Okay. I can see some mentors walking in. Okay, so welcome to day 2 fellow session. Now this is the session where we get our ROI, right? This is basically the session which we all have been waiting for. The work is pretty much done from our side. Of course, it's a continued engagement that we have been hoping for, but this is where you, as the fellows, give back to the community, or you tell us how you're going to give back to the communities, right? So we don't really have a fixed order, because we do understand that some of the fellows are in the other rooms. They are doing presentations, just to excuse me, allow them time to get back into the room and for others to join us. We will just go with whoever is here first. I will not be announcing the group names, but I am hoping that the groups are able to introduce themselves. Okay, so day 2 fellow session is where we reflect on every session that we have attended, all the relationships we have built in this experience with our mentors, with other fellows, with the wonderful people around us whom we have been learning from. Okay, so very quickly, what are the 3 pillars of APrIGF's theme this year? Sustainability? Trust? Just access? Access and inclusion. Okay. Really? Anything else? No, that is it? Okay. So this session is all about how you, as a fellow, resonate with these subtracks, and what are you taking back home? What are you taking back to your regions? What are you taking back to your communities? And how are you as fellows going to assist each other in developing each other's economy in your own very special ways? And we do not have any hard and fast rules of this session. The only rule is that it has to be wrapped up within 5 minutes. So 3 minutes for your presentation, and the other 2 minutes is just for Q&A. Okay? 3 plus 2 is what?
Sorry, I need to interrupt. It's 5 plus 3. No worries, guys, no worries. 5 minutes presentation, 3 minutes Q&A. Buffer time and thank you.
I can say yes if she says yes, or else she will throw the mic at me from the other side. Okay, great. All right, so I will stop speaking now. We will move on to the very first presentation. Sokle, would you be able to introduce your group very quickly, and you can start. Mike, can we
introduce yourself and also like your name?
A very good afternoon, everyone. My name is Soklai, and we have Isaac, also Osman. without further delay, I would like to introduce what we are going to talk about. So this year, since inclusion and accessibility is included in our theme, that's why we decided to work on a theme which is about inclusion, digital inclusion. We have 3 group members, Isaac, Osman, who is going to do it remotely, and also me, Soklai. I will give the floor to Isaac to have the first presentation.
Thanks very much, Sakle. I would like to first of all thank APrIGF and its supporting partners for inviting me to this practices program. I'm gonna share my experiences and observations on digital inclusion of underrepresented groups, especially people with disabilities and indigenous communities. So it's undeniable that internet can streamline the lives of individuals, but the question obviously may rise that does it streamline the life of all individuals of a society? This answer is determined by 3 factors. Number 1, digital access. Number 2, digital affordability. And number 3, digital ability. So, but it's a reality that most of the people with disabilities, indigenous communities, low-income people, and other vulnerable socio-demographic groups are digitally excluded today. So we have to be more active to convince people that digital inclusion can bridge the digital divide and empower them to be included digitally. And we have to convince them digital exclusion can create a digital divide, and they can be miss out on critical opportunities online. So how to combat digital exclusion as internet governance leaders? This is important for us. So just we have to address 3 elements that I have already mentioned, and how we can do this is we have to practice good internet governance. We have to ensure digital rights management, and the ways forward to do this may be pursuing multi-stakeholder approach, ensuring building and strengthening trust, inclusion, and sustainability. All the necessities for this can ensure digital inclusion of all individuals in the digital world. Thank you very much. Now I would like to refer to Usman to speak about his topic. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Why does accessibility ICT matter? Government's influence? Well, government's influence is paramount due to its significant purchasing power, and it's encouraging innovation and competition in the sector. Benefits and strategy. Yes, marketing and influence is industry transformation, economic growth, social impact. These are the benefits of that. And when government's going to do the strategies, clear criteria, collaboration, life cycle, capacity building, those kind of things. Then next, please. Challenges that we have with this is government complex, standards that can be also the challenging for these things, and collaboration between stakeholders for continuous improvements, so that they keep going on. Next, please. Future outlook. Well, with the future is basically there are 2 things like AI, artificial intelligence, and IoT. IoTs can enable smart environments that cater to accessibility, automatic tasks. You can use the voice commands and other stuff that comes that. And digital inclusive future, for that, the governments should have the influence to drive accessibility standards and foster innovation, ensuring that digital advancements benefit everyone, promoting a future of digital inclusivity. Now I'll hand over this to Sokley for the next emerging technology. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Osman, for your comprehensive presentation. So welcome back again to my talk. So Soklai from Cambodia. So as we know that with the advancement of technology, there has been an introduction to such an emerging technology like ChatGPT or generative AI. this lead to the digital divide in Cambodia. So how? First of all, I would like to ask, like, how many of you can get access to ChatGPT in your country? Could you raise your hands? It's fortunate for all of you. However, it's not possible to get access to ChatGPT in Cambodia because it mentions OpenAI services are not available in your country. We have also done as a way, so I have collected the data from university students, whether they are aware and have used ChatGPT before. So it's interesting to get 190 responses for higher education students from the capital city to have only 92% of those who are aware of ChatGPT, but 7.9 are not aware of ChatGPT and have never used ChatGPT before. And it comes to a question in my mind, whether the introduction of this kind of technology can narrow the gap between the digital divide, or it can make the digital divide become bigger and bigger. So these are the challenges that I have collected from them. So they just mentioned about ChatGPT, I think it's not available in Cambodia now. It requires some tips to access, so I think it's complicated. But I don't think it's very complicated to get access to ChatGPT or log into ChatGPT, but because of the barrier of the accessibility to get access to ChatGPT, that's why they give up on using those technologies. So I have something to share. It's about the practice to tackle the challenges. Since we cannot just wait for those developing companies to give us the chance, we should take action as quickly as possible. So these are the practice that I have done in my country. So we have the digital literacy by raising the awareness of those new technologies and the ethics of how to use those technologies effectively. And another thing that we have been working on is about capacity building. So it's our pleasure to announce that this year we're going to host the very first Cambodia-wide AGF to bring everyone in our society, especially youth, to come to share the concerns and to learn from everyone. And we follow the multi-stakeholder approach by inviting researchers, governments, and many other stakeholders group. And I just have two main key messages before finishing my presentation. So I believe that no one should be left behind. Otherwise, the gap between the digital divide is becoming bigger and bigger. And we just see that this is just a little thing, but we should take into account this. Another thing is that we should take action immediately to narrow the gap of the digital divide. And that's all for my presentation. Thanks.
Hi, any feedback or comments on their presentations from the floor? Maricela?
Thank you for your group. That was a very comprehensive discussion of what you learned throughout the sessions. But I would just like to ask, especially Ishak, what is inclusivity for you? What is the extent of inclusion when deciding and testing, for example, technologies like AI?
Thanks for the question. I have to repeat it. We have to consider three factors to understand the concept of inclusion. Whether people have enough digital access. Number two, they have digital affordability. Number three, whether they have digital ability. That means whether they have the skills to access to the internet world. So we expect that all the devices, all the websites, and everything related to the digital world would be designed according to the universal design, so that people, all types of people, not only people with disabilities, everyone can penetrate, use, and utilize. I think it would be somewhat convincing for you. Thank you so much.
So thank you very much for this group. Next, we will have the group of Mamta, Paribhasha, and also Namka. Yeah. So Namka and Paribhasha, yeah, will be joining. See you. no problem. We just be flexible. It's just so. Yeah. Whoa. Okay. Very nice.
If I may have everyone's attention. Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah. Thank you. My name is Mamta Sivakoti. I'm one of the APrIGF. Is there? Yeah. Yeah? Okay. So my name is Mamta Sivakoti. I'm one of the APrIGF fellow. What's interesting about our body group and at the same time a little saddening is the fact that I'm the only one who's present who got the opportunity to be present here physically. All of our other members are joining us virtually. If it is possible during their presentation time, if we could also have their screen, that would be great. Yeah. So this is us. That's me. That's Sirat from Pakistan. This is Paribhasa from Nepal, and this is Namkha from Bhutan. So coming from culturally diverse countries, all of us, and holding a lot of importance in regards to our natural and cultural heritage, we would like to honor and respect the indigenous people as the custodians of the land on which we gather today, and we pay respect to elders past and present. And further, we also recognize the efforts and are grateful towards APrIGF for organizing such a proficient event. Following, in these few days of our participation in APrIGF, there are a lot of reflections that are very personal to us. Me being someone present here physically, my experiences differ from those who are joining us virtually. So we will be sharing our experiences in individual manner, if that is okay. So these are some of the issues that I got the opportunity to discuss in. So it was they were mainly in streams relating to access and inclusion and trust and safety, because I believe that is the two area that is most important to our region and to Nepal specifically at this point. We are not at a point where we can discuss sustainability as freely as we can discuss access and inclusion and trust and safety, because those are our major issues. And as I attended a few of the sessions, there were a few key points that I will be taking away with me. That is the fact that AI is already here. Our only choice is to make sure that we provide access and we include people as we go on, and that we uphold and we strengthen the trust and safety mechanism relating to it. A very interesting session that I had a few hours back was relating to Tech Policy Atlas. And this was sort of an opportunity as well, because in the map we could not really find Nepal. So it is a commitment that I have undertaken, being a lawyer myself, that I will be contributing in regards to the tech policies of Nepal for the Tech Atlas. And I also had a session on access and inclusion. This is the picture. So the social event, I guess connectivity is one of the most important and most beautiful part that APrIGF can give to us. And given the fact that we highly value MSG and just stakeholder engagement, this is definitely an important part of it. And personal commitment is definitely to ensure integrity, active participation and inclusion and collaboration in the days to come. This is my first year being a part of IGF, and I commit that I will be taking it forward, especially through my social media channel and also through my legal community in Nepal. So with this, I am handing the floor over to Namkha for his own unique experience sharing.
Good afternoon to all. I'm Namkha Zangpor from Bhutan, and I'm one of the fellows for APGRI 2023. So I would like to talk about the accessibility and inclusion. When we say the accessibility and inclusion, it is crucial that we should consider all diverse range of participants, including like those with disabilities, different backgrounds and economic condition. And I think like it is essential for creating positive and inclusive environments. So as per my experience, please can you share the slides? Yeah, because I can't see the slides. Sorry. So I'm one of the fellows which visa has been rejected, and I believe that by the denial of visas to individual from economic, usually the low economic countries like Bhutan, Nepal, who wish to attend such forum raises some important and ethical consideration, as I highlighted below, like digital divide enforcement. So it basically undermines the inclusivity and global nature of APrIGF. We have the online platform available, but it is not really, I can say that effective because of like time zone challenges. We have to perform our on-site duties, and we don't get like social and networking opportunities. That's something that we need to think of. And missed opinion. So like if we are including diverse and diverse participants, regardless of anything, I feel that there will be like unique perspectives and challenges related to internal governments they have to share. So another one is like unequal participation. So unequal participation and representation in discussion that affects the global internet landscape. So one is like a symbolic importance is that denying such visas sends a discouraging message to individuals who are trying to engage positively in international dialogues and make positive contributions to the global internet governance issues. So way forward, so resolving these issues, I feel requires combination of advocacy, collaboration, and creative solutions. So some solutions being collaboration with the governments, I mean like host governments, embassies, collaborate with civil society and raising issues on human rights, digital inclusion, technology development, and freedom of speech. So lastly, I would like to thank everyone involved in this program to happen successfully. So thank you so much. Next, Paribrasha Pradhan from Nepal, please.
So hello everyone. I'm Paribhasha Pradhan, one of the APrIGF fellow who is also participating online due to visa restriction. And like Namka told, I think the notion of being more inclusive towards developing nations like resolves around recognizing the importance of involving these countries in international endeavors. And I think to address these issues, a more inclusive approach is needed, like understanding the barriers faced by developing nations and working to overcome them. And this might involve building trust through open communication or demonstrating the genuine intent of collaboration and considering the unique circumstances of each country. So I think APrIGF could have been more involved, like when it comes to an individual who is a fellow and important in the decision making parts in this kind of events. Like I just have this suggestion to APrIGF to or the host to be more involved in helping us for being overcoming these visa challenges that we are facing. So moving forward, I just want to tell that APrIGF has emerged a pivotal platform for deliberating a crucial dimensions of trust across diverse domains, and it serves as a beacon, bringing together experts, stakeholders, and leaders to unravel this intricate relationship between trust, accessibility, and sustainability in this digital realm. And this event signified a proactive step towards cultivating trust in the way we govern the internet by involving like a diverse group of stakeholders and the multi-MSG as well. So this fellowship contributes to like inclusive and participatory development of these digital policies. And this session made me know how trust intersects with various domains, technologies, and initiatives. And we aim to shed light on the pathways that lead to enhanced trust, accessibility, and sustainability in our interconnected digital world. And I must say that the power of multi-stakeholder collaboration in shaping this digital policies is important, and we learn that involving multi-stakeholderism in decision making fosters a more holistic and inclusive approach to internet governance. So Wrapping it up, APrIGF session provided a wealth of insights that highlighted the intricate connection between this three triad in this digital landscape. So thank you so much, everyone. Now I would like my other fellow friends, Sirat.
Thank you so much, Bhasha, and thank you everybody for being a part of the APrIGF. I am Sirat Khan, I'm from Pakistan, and I am also a virtual APrIGF fellow. I am joining in very difficultly this week because unfortunately I couldn't apply for my visa on time, and also the time zone has been an extremely overwhelming issue for me when I've been attending the sessions. Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge the efforts that the APrIGF Secretariat and the team has put in terms of making sure that there is representation from all parts of the Asia Pacific. But I do think that because we talk about accessibility and because we talk about inclusion, we need to address the elephant in the room. That is the fact that visa inaccessibility is a huge problem for people in Asia, and we unfortunately do struggle with this. So we need to acknowledge the fact that applying for visas is a whole task in itself, apart from the work that we are doing as civil society, as private and companies, as government. So it needs to be acknowledged that this is choosing a location that is inaccessible is sort of unfair to a lot of other fellows. Again, this is not criticism, it's just something that we've taken in from this. And again, time zone is an issue for us. Time zone is 5 hours there is a 5-hour gap between my time zone and the time zone in Australia. I've been waking up at 4 a.m. for the sessions at APrIGF to make sure that my representation is heard and seen. And again, you go to work and then you're coming to the sessions, and it has taken a toll. This week has been very difficult for me personally, if I can say so, because of the time zone. And I actually do have a session tomorrow at 4 a.m. at my time, for which I do not plan on sleeping. So these are just some things that I wanted to highlight because we talk about accessibility and inclusion, and I think they need to be addressed. The online app also, because I just want to cover all the possible points that I can cover as a fellow who is attending online. The events app has been giving us a lot of trouble. I've been finding it very hard to use it. I've written to the Secretariat also about it, and I've been told that the app is crashing multiple times, which is why sometimes showing my representation has been a problem. I've still been trying my best, but still. And as far as the sessions go, I am very, very excited and very excited about the sessions that I've been a part of. Emerging technologies is a topic that is very important for the Asia Pacific because we are adopting new technologies, and because these technologies are being adopted by every state in this region, we also need to see the repercussions that they might bring and the benefits that they might bring for us. And I think we
really need to wrap up now.
Yeah,
We've
sorry.
got a lot of extra time. Yeah.
Sorry. I'll just go over, I just have two more points that I just want to cover. I do think that the panels that are going on, that they are great, but they need to address the fact that as emerging technologies are being adopted, issues like surveillance, privacy, and issues that gendered minorities and women face on the internet need to also be discussed on the panels. I didn't see much of that, and I have attended quite a lot of panels online. And also about the multi-stakeholder model, that's my last point. That's just my last point, I'm sorry.
One sentence, please. Please wrap it up.
I just want to add that the multi-stakeholder model is great, but sometimes it doesn't work in everybody's favor. And in order for some actors to protect themselves, they need to make sure and if they want to not self-censor themselves, the stakeholder model should be cognizant of that at least.
Thank you.
That's it. That's from my end. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I don't believe we have time for questions. If there's any question,
I guess it was pretty self-explanatory. I don't think there are any questions. Huh? Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much. So next we will have the group of Sebastian, Gwenna, and also Onyu. Do you want? Please be present on stage. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, you changed it? Is that the one with the bubble?
Sorry, what?
Is that the one with the bubble background? This is what we got.
No, not this one. Look for the body for one. I think, what's the name of the one?
Okay, anyway, do you want to start speaking a bit first? We quickly.
I also don't have microphone also.
Oh, sorry. It's on me, sorry, my bad. Okay, I just grab you. Thank you.
Introduce yourself first. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Kana Kim, or you know, and Sebastian. Yeah, and we would like to share our insights about key concepts of internet governance we learned during this Asia Pacific in IGF in terms of each of our own countries: South Korea, Mongolia, and Singapore. In Korea, they're okay. Okay. Yeah. In Korea, there are various internet governance issues being discussed, and e-government is one of them. Digital government, or e-government, is the application of information and communication technologies to government functions and procedures with the purpose of increasing efficiency, transparency, and citizen participation. Korea is successfully implementing e-government based on its high internet penetration rate. According to the 2022 UN e-government survey, Korea ranked third in the world in the e-government development index ranking. And the picture on the left, is an e-government website called gov.kr, where people can process various government services quickly in an integrated manner. However, several things must be considered to maintain a safe e-government system. In terms of digital divide, when the majority of citizens can literally access the internet, clear inequalities in practical accessibility do exist. The Ministry of Science and ICT supports the provision of assistive communication devices for people who with disabilities. However, out of 15,000 applicants, only 1/3 of them actually received the support. Thus, measures are necessary to ensure that all citizens can equally enjoy convenient services. Second, valuable data such as public information and personal information are stored in digital government databases, which cyber attacks can target. Therefore, various security strategies such as blockchain and artificial intelligence are needed to based on the zero trust method. That concludes my presentation, and I'll hand it over to Sebastian.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon. This is your captain speaking. We are departing for Singapore. You can enjoy free Wi-Fi on board. Why am I sharing about this? No, I do not work for Singapore Airlines. I am Sebastian, a law student from Singapore, and access to the internet is a reality for youths like me. First thing, I reached Australia. I bought a SIM card. As you can see over here, I'm sure everyone do so if you want to be connected. In fact, during the youth IGF track, I was asked a question about what the cyberspace is. I shared that the cyberspace is a reality and a way of living for our youth and our future. My first point is that the cyberspace is our reality. It's a way for us to communicate, to make cashless payment, to study with e-textbooks. In fact, hands out, who actually likes the convenience that the internet gives us? All right, thank you so much for the participation. My second point is that we cannot run away from our reality. There is growing threats in the cyberspace, scammers, hackers, and even in the geopolitical spheres where fellows from South Korea highlight about cyber warfare. And fun fact, Singapore recently set out the 4th service. I serve in the military service in the Army. We have the Navy, Army, Air Force, and recently now we have the Digital and Intelligence Service to deal with such cyber threats. Fellow from Indonesia also highlight about access to the internet for the underprivileged community. There are indeed challenges for this cyberspace reality that we face. So moving on to my third point is that we can take positive action and run towards our reality. Yes, there will be people that face challenges due to the digital divide. Yes, there will be hackers and bad people in cyberspace. However, we can take action by learning from each other through the multi-stakeholder approach and collaborate to overcome those challenges. APrIGF is one such platform for us to overcome those challenges and take actions towards our cyberspace reality. Moving forward, my legal research interests focus on the internet laws in the Asia Pacific. I look forward to sharing with my fellow Singaporeans and Asia Pacific community of what I've learned in APrIGF and contribute to a more inclusive internet society. 2 minutes is a short time. I can go on and on and on and on and on. But now I really have a flight to catch on Singapore Airlines. I'm going to use the Wi-Fi to connect with my loved one. Goodbye and see you again. I'll pass the time to my Mongolian teammate.
Thank you. Let's fly from Singapore to Mongolia now, okay? Please put my Mongolian slide with the ancient historical monument and the modern Mongolian buildings as well. So, my name is Oyin Tsukjargaseha. I know this is the longest name in the list. So in short, I say that you can call me Nayuna. So what I want to tell you about my story is, I just want to simply, show about and share about my country. So we are a 3.1 million population we have, but we have a landscape that has 1.5 thousand kilometers square. So which means, we are few people in the big steppe landscape and desert and forest area. That means you can imagine like in the ICT and tech, in the internet aspect, we should have to be very needed to connect with each other. We are the people who are living in a nomadic lifestyle, like, riding a horse and herding animals, etc. But still, we also have a lot of modern lifestyle peoples. So what happens now is, in terms of the public information resource, according to my organization, Presence to say that 82% of the population use internet at least every other day. Social media are actively used by the citizens, both urban and rural area. Those herds families are using internet as well. And Facebook is used by 1.5 million people, which means almost half of the population is using Facebook. And it is regarded as one of the very, first social platform that is providing information sharing among population. Especially the women are the most active on the Facebook than men. And the other thing is, same as the other country, our traditional media are decreasing. We are shrinking newspapers, more news is going around the internet, and number of radio, number of TV is decreasing. However, what was my takeaway from this IGF is, first thing is digital literacy, I'm gonna say, because unfortunately, in Mongolia, we don't have IGF like two of my buddies. So that's why the digital literacy issue is very important in Mongolia, especially for those who are living in the rural area, those who are aged community, etc. The other thing is digital inclusion is also very important. In regards with these two issues, I almost made a list of glossary, trying to explain what term is what and how to explain those important terms into my language, because sometimes interpretation is going wrong, and sometimes people does not really know about those terms that we discussed throughout the session. For instance, yesterday I just wrote about the article that was explaining that right to forgotten. For instance, that term was, for me, it was quite new. I didn't know that we also have a right to forgotten, you know. So, for instance, I should have to be deliberate these ideas into my community. And lastly, I really wish to have a national IGF. At this moment, I'm alone in here. I don't want to be sit alone and discuss internet governance issue alone in this gear. So I want to invite the other multi-stakeholders from my government, my civil society, younger groups, and technical groups, etc. So these are my takeaway I'm bringing from this IGF. And thank you so much, and welcome to Mongolia after the Sebastian, Singapore. That's it.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your presentation. I think you guys could have more question or feedback afterward, because time is running. May I please invite JC and Maristella and also Ryan to the stage for your presentation, please? Thank you. Good job. Thank you.
Okay, so everyone will keep this short and simple. So are you familiar with the song Old MacDonald? Yes? If you are familiar, we would like all of you to sing with us if you know the tune. So you won't sit down.
They bring it up? Can you put it up on the screen?
So just to give you an idea, we have a lot of things that we've learned from the past sessions, but we wanted to focus on just one for today because of the time and because we all agree about the importance of AI. So this song is about AI and what we learned about it and what we want to do moving forward.
And you guys are able to scroll the AV people as we go?
Okay, so ready? 1, 2, 3. Everywhere AI's a quest, E-I-E-I-O. Regulatory issues we must address, E-I-E-I-O. Lack of resources and low awareness, cultures and norms are different. Tech divide and affordability, but AI is good, you see. Regulations there, balancing rights with utmost care. Culture, ethics, privacy, including cybersecurity. Crafting laws for humanity, E-I-E-I-O. Alexa, Siri, ChatGPT, E-I-E-I-O. Fraud prevention and content creation, E-I-E-I-O. Sorry. Facial recognition, marketing, self-driving cars, and policing. But AI is not always accurate. Some things we might regret. E-I-E-I-O. Regulations here, regulations there, balancing rights with utmost care, culture, ethics, privacy, including cybersecurity, crafting laws for humanity, E-I-E-I-O. Expertise lacks, the skill gap grows, E-I-E-I-O. Convenience wins and privacy goes, E-I-E-I-O. Generation gap is a buzz, privacy advocate make a fuss. To regulate AI, we must try till AI use is optimized. Regulations here, regulations there, balancing rights with utmost care. Culture, ethics, privacy, including cybersecurity. Crafting laws for humanity, E-I-E-I-O. AI's potential is very vast. E-I-E-I-O. It's top of the town, but not too fast. E-I-E-I-O. Regulatory gaps we strive to mend. Innovations raise, ethics don't bend.
All these challenges we must
transcend. In multi-stakeholderism we depend.
In multi-cultural,
And multi-stakeholderism will depend. So yeah, so just to summarize, the first part of the song was about how AI is beneficial to maybe everyone. And then the chorus is about what we have to do about regulations, because we know that regulations are very tricky to do because of diversity of cultures, etc. And then verse 2 is about the benefits. But we said, hey, we have to pause because we might regret things. The verse 3 is about what the problems are. And the outro is what we think we should do moving forward. So I hope that summarizes everything that we want to tell you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's really creative and it's really treating people well. Thank you very much. Treat me up as well. Pariatas and Strada, this is now your time.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna try to beat that because I was not there for most part of it. I've seen Ryan present, I've seen Marcella present. I know those guys, everybody, each one of the fellows is incredible. So we're gonna do a very modest presentation about inclusion through language and what it means for people who come from so many different cultures with so many different languages, about how inclusion in all these languages is getting prioritized, but not to the extent that it should, because mostly what is the subtle undertone is that if you don't know English, you will learn English, and then you will get included in these conversations. And I'm not saying that as a criticism, I'm saying that as a shift in mentality of our elders as well. And even though they don't recognize the language, they recognize the structure of a few words, so they know they have to click on it if it is shaped like a F for Facebook, if it's shaped like a call symbol for WhatsApp. So they now started to associate those as symbols instead of learning the language or trying to learn a language at this age. So something along those lines is a presentation that we made about language diversity in the Asia Pacific, challenges towards digital dividends, about the benefits that all generations can reap through the inclusion of different languages in the current internet governance ecosystem. So this is going to be the structure of our session. A brief introduction about what the situation is, specific issues that we feel are pertinent based on our lived experiences, a few policy questions, and your contribution for inclusion. So if we can see the next slide. One. Yeah, so the group that we sort of tried to focus on are indigenous groups and communities of our country, which are based out of utmost rural areas. So those are the communities, those are the indigenous groups who have their own culture ingrained, and they've learned it through, and it's passed down through generations. So it's not a culture that they're trying to profess. It's a way of life for them. That is the only way of life that they know. That's the only way of life that they've lived. And those are the only languages that they've experienced. So this is something that we try to put forward, because the access to information is leading us to understand one thing. And this was something that was quoted during a few sessions as well, that knowledge is becoming power, and it's becoming a prerequisite to access resources, to access every sort of information that is required for your benefit in today's day and age. So what we tried to do was we tried to focus on the right to access and the last mile connectivity, and we tried to deal with specific issues or specific aspects that are being empowered, that are being worked upon in current day and age. So one example during our research that we came across was this concept of barefoot engineering that is being practiced in some of the communities. So the idea in barefoot engineering is that engineers are, you go to local communities, you look at students who are studying, and then you try to understand what their requirements are to then take them and absorb them in the workforce from their high school level itself. So they start learning engineering with the intention of getting a job, and the idea is the company which finances their education ends up giving them the job. While it does sound like a very good initiative, it comes with a lot of constraints when you think about it from a labor law perspective. You're working with that company. But the question is, again, when you're coming from that indigenous community, you don't have access to it. You're seeing that as the only way out for you because you don't have access to any other information in any of your own languages. So as an engineer, as a high school student, you don't have access to any other form of employment. This seems like a very good opportunity. But this, again, an extreme form of this case is what is made for the benefit of sweatshops. If a person's willing to work and if the person's saying that I'm willing to be exploited, then why not let that person be exploited? And that's a very problematic line of argument that is to be taken, because the same can then goes about organ trafficking, etc. Because if the person's saying they need money and they're willing to do it, why not? And that's very problematic. So these are the kind of issues that slowly transform the society and transform the way in which we are seeing and dealing with these issues. So it's very easy to dismiss it, saying that, okay, it's a language issue, it's very slowly will be resolved. But I believe the amount of priority we place on it somewhere is a little misplaced, or it should be increased a little bit on that aspect. And that is why we're trying to change that. The specific issues that we tried to focus on and that we encountered during our discussions have been indigenous languages for empowerment and empowerment of these particular communities, and language and culture diversity in the cyberspace, challenges for the Asia Pacific region, need for multilingualism in the cyberspace. And this is where we believe the universal acceptance aspect and the empowerment of universal acceptance and all these initiatives are going a long way in encouraging communities, in encouraging and ensuring that the communities are working and taking the right steps in the right direction. So strengthening the multilingual internet in the Asia Pacific of the digital revolution. So this is something that was pointed out to me a while ago, and I'm not sure if that still holds true, but I would like for it to be verified, because I know no UA ambassadors have been appointed. Till date, these are the sort of things, small things that bring your attention to issues, right? Till date, there's been no female UA ambassador in the Asia Pacific region ever. And that is problematic when we have so many talented women, so many people from so many diverse regions. So these are the issues that we have to deal with and we have to resolve. So next, the question comes in about how we can overcome the challenges in language and cultural diversity in the cyberspace, and how we can strengthen the multilingual internet through emerging technologies. So I think this was one of the key solutions that was proposed in the town hall yesterday, when Cheryl spoke about how AI can potentially be the future. This is why innovation, this is why creativity is very important, and it is going to lead us to a solution in the future where all of these could become affordable. We agree that there are a lot of changes being done in the right direction in this regard, but the changes are not happening at the pace that we want or at the rate and affordability that we require. And maybe AI innovation and stakeholder participation primarily will lead to these changes. And that is what we're trying to encourage, and we're trying to leave you with this session. So thank you so much for giving us an opportunity to present our brief, modest session before you. Thank you.
Okay. I don't have any time. Although our slides is not very gorgeous, but the theme is very gorgeous. Okay, we have to think on the technically. So one more thing I want to add: universal acceptance. ICANN is working more. If you are interested in universal acceptance, you can join UASG, Universal Acceptance Steering Groups, and they are working on the multilingualism internet. That basically the top level domain. Okay, .com, suppose we are talking about .com, this type of xyz.com, we representing this .com top level domain as a ASCII code. So now this is, if you want just Priotos @Australia, we can do that. So that's how we can achieve the multilingualism in internet. So if you are having any questions, we are happy to be answer. Okay, thank you.
Thank you both Payatos and Shanda. Next, we will like to invite Saray to come to the stage. Saray, please.
Talafalawa, good afternoon to all our APrIGF fellows and organizers. Hello, Cheryl. Hello, everyone. It's good to see you again. You might ask, why bubbles? Why I put up bubbles, the background of my presentation. We are from the Pacific. We scattered our islands. So those are bubbles. So you can name the islands are still in bubbles. But with the beauty and with the technology we are living today, so we're trying to connect our bubbles virtually so that we can continue. So good afternoon again. My name is Raite Vita from Samoa, and I think I'm the only Pacific fellow under the APrIGF. So that's the saddest part of it. But but thanks. Thank you again to the APrIGF for doing this. Thanks to the APNIC for bringing our Pacific people here, as well as the PKI SOC. Anyway, what I've learned from this fellowship. Can you click next? Because I only have 3 slides. These are the thematic tracks that I think the overall of what we've been learned. Even though I missed some of the sessions, but I read through in our program, and these are the major issues and opportunities. It can be issues, it can be challenges, and also issues. The first session this morning was about digital environmental sustainability. We looked little in this kind of matter, but it affects a lot. Because for techie, you only think about ICT. What about the industry? What about infrastructure? What about the manufacturers? What about the industries out there? The regulations, the legislations, those are the things that behind this digital environmental. If you look at the phones, there's no like environmentally friendly type of product like we see in other products. But with ICT products, I'm not sure because I haven't seen it in Samoa, it missed out that. And that's causes a lot of waste. There's a lot of e-waste, anything, everything. So it's something that in this kind of firm we can look at in the future collaboration, is to have a look at this digital environmental sustainability issue. Sustainability, we have heard of cybersecurity. The trust is another issue. Trust the technology, trust the data, and trust the process, and trust the people you are engaging. And that's the other issue, is the people is the most fundamental and is the most cause of the problems. So you need to digitally, literally, inform and engage so that you learn what to do. Inclusion, thank you for the presentations before. They mentioned the inclusion and diversity. And the last one is the fellowship. This is very important in this kind of forums, the fellowship. We learn different, from different countries. We heard from their successful stories. But from the Pacific, yes, we still live in bubbles. With the last mile connectivity is still an issue, but with the connectivity and internet involvement, it makes things work. We're moving on, and we need to move with what the internet is going. We can't just leave behind and get the world move around there. and only you Asians are, moving with it. No, we Pacific people want to move it with you. So I think, and that's why this APrIGF, Asia Pacific Regional IGF, comes together. So we need to make that alignment for all of us. And the last one, so what should we do? We still continue with this multi-stakeholder approach because we believe nationally, because that's what we do, it's a successful way for us to move on from the grassroots up to the political level where the decision makers are. The multi-stakeholder is a good way to go. I've heard the last or the other presentation that said multi-stakeholder can be good or not. So do the good one, but forget about the bad one. Inclusive is very important, has to be continually talked about it, advocated it anyway, and partnership is very important, very important. And the last one, keep our collaborations going and improve so that we can have these tight fellowships between countries. So last but not least, thank you again for the APrIGF for the opportunity to become a member, fellow. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Saray. So I think it comes to, so all of our APrIGF fellows have presented already. Thank you very much.